I'm not concerned about other people's judgment, but inevitably that's what happens. And people are very cruel in the sport of bodybuilding, similar to politicians. Bodybuilding is a very dark place to be. Once you choose to be in that dark place, you have to be prepared to alleviate yourself from the social parameters, the clubbing, the partying and all that stuff, because it requires for you to socialize, eat certain foods, and a lot of people don't have that tolerance level. Regardless of the fact, it is good to change your goals and your career paths, because that's how you evolve as an individual. I went through an emotional trauma for 8 years of my life, post-marriage, pre-marriage as well. Sometimes girls find escape routes, and those escape routes are bad choices in relationships, because we feel like our parents are either too strict, overbearing, and their choices are not aligned with our choices. I learned that people are very significant and they're also very insignificant. It's a paradox. In life, we make bad choices, and in order to have better choices in life, we have to better educate ourselves. We have to read more. We have to spend time with more experienced people. Like compassion and empathy are such important factors. And in order to inhibit those, you have to really go through rough times and tough times.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम ख़वातीन और हज़रात। यार बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, आप पॉडकास्ट देखते हैं और यहाँ पर एनालिटिक्स में नंबर्स भी मेरे सामने हैं कि बहुत सारे लोग जो हैं काफ़ी एंड तक पॉडकास्ट देखते हैं। लेकिन एक जो अजीब चीज़ मुझे देखने को मिल रही है वो ये है कि आप में से 79% लोग ऐसे हैं जो कि पॉडकास्ट तो देख रहे हैं लेकिन सब्सक्राइब नहीं कर रहे, और सिर्फ 21% वो आबादी है जो कि सब्सक्राइब कर देती है। तो अब मेरा सवाल और मेरी उसके लिए इन्फॉर्मेशन के लिए मैं जानना चाहूँगा कि अव्वल तो आप सब्सक्राइब क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं? कोई गलती हमसे हो रही है तो हमें बता दें कमेंट सेक्शन में, ताकि हम उसको सही कर लें। दूसरा ये कि अगर आप वीडियोस देख रहे हैं और आपको पसंद आ रही है और आप सब्सक्राइब नहीं कर रहे, तो आपसे रिक्वेस्ट ये है कि आप सब्सक्राइब करें, क्योंकि सब्सक्रिप्शन से ये फ़ायदा होता है कि हमें अच्छे अच्छे और बड़े बड़े गेस्ट बुलाने में और उनको कन्वेंस करने में और उनको एक बड़ा प्लेटफॉर्म देने में आसानी होती है। तो अभी रिसेंटली हमारी जो पॉडकास्ट गई हैं वो गेस्ट जो थे सिर्फ इसी वजह से आए थे कि हमारी जो चैनल की सब्सक्रिप्शन है वो बड़ी है तो वो आए, अदरवाइज़ वो साफ कह रहे थे कि सर हम किसी भी पॉडकास्ट में नहीं जाते हैं। तो आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है कि जब आप पॉडकास्ट देखें तो आप सब्सक्राइब का बटन ज़रूर दबाएं, और जो भी वीडियो है अगर आपको पसंद नहीं आ रही है तो आप हमें कॉमेंट सेक्शन में बताएं, अगर पसंद आ रही है तो हमें लाइक के थ्रू बताएं उस वीडियो को, ताकि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा ये यूट्यूब का एल्गोरिथम इसको रेलेवेंट लोगों को दिखाए और हमें आसानी हो अच्छे गेस्ट को बुलाने के लिए। तो चलें, आपका बहुत शुक्रिया सुनने के लिए, और चलें अब चलते हैं पॉडकास्ट की तरफ। First of all, thank you for reaching out, and when I go through your Instagram, I thought why not have her on the podcast as well. अच्छा, the people who don't know you, like what would you say कि यार कौन है आप, क्या करती हैं आप? सैयदा ज़ाइना हैदर, कौन हैं आप?
मैं एक इंसान हूँ आपकी तरह।
हाँ, बट
और मेरे में और आप में सिर्फ फ़र्क ये है
कि आपके बहुत ज़बरदस्त मसल्स हैं, क्योंकि आप पिछले 15 साल से फिटनेस इंडस्ट्री से वाबस्ते हैं और हम पिछले 2-3 महीनों से
नहीं। मेरे में आप में ये फ़र्क है कि आपकी लाइफ गोल्स और मेरे लाइफ गोल्स में बहुत ज़मीन आसमान का फ़र्क है। ठीक है, सिंपल सी बात है। You choose who you are, you choose your environment, and according to that, you move along that pathway. So I have chosen many different significant choices in life, and I've moved along those pathways in accordance to the choices. And some of them I've done consistently, and others I had to pull back from because of specific obstacles that I faced in my life.
But you mentioned कि career wise, profession wise, fashion designing की फील्ड से वाबस्ते थी. You studied fashion, right?
Yeah, I did my undergrad from London School of Fashion and Fashion Technology, and before that I studied art and also Urdu literature in my A levels. So इसलिए मुझे उर्दू बोलने का बहुत शौक है, क्योंकि हमारी कौमी ज़ुबान है एक तो, दूसरी उर्दू और इंग्लिश को मिला के बात करने का मज़ा ही और है, कड़क चाय की तरह,
गरम चाय की तरह. But you were born and bred in Pakistan.
I was born and bred in Islamabad.
Islamabad, or early education, school, college, all from
everything from Islamabad.
Islamabad. But when you were deciding कि यार मैंने जो है ये fashion technology या fashion designing पढ़नी है from London, after doing your FSC, right? So
O levels and A levels.
O levels and A level, but still you are very young. You must be like 18, 19 years old, something along those lines. So how difficult or easy it was to convince your parents, or especially when you are a girl in Pakistan, जब आप एक लड़की होते हो and you are saying to your parents कि मैंने जो है वो लंदन से जाकर पढ़ना है, तो was that journey easy to convince your parents कि यार मैं जा रही हूँ पढ़ने के लिए because पाकिस्तान में अच्छे फैशन स्कूल नहीं है, या what was so fascinating about London to study fashion from there?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, both my parents are extremely educated to the extent that they still correct me on every level, Urdu mein ho ya English mein ho. Every conversation I have with them, they're always correcting my vocabulary, my grammar, my punctuations. That's just how they are. So it wasn't even a question or a thought in my mind. Education is in the first, foremost, top priority in our family, because most of my cousins went to some of the top league schools and universities in the US, Harvard, Yale, Stanford. So all of my family members, including my sister-in-law and her grandparents, went to Stanford University. She got a Fulbright scholarship and went to Rhode Island in the US. My brother studied in the US. Both my brothers studied in the US. All my cousins live in the US. My cousins are cardiologists. He lives in New York City. My uncle was a cardiologist in New Jersey. My grandfather was a doctor. So education is sort of in our blood, and it wasn't a question or a thought. In fact, I was planning to apply to the US to study at Pratt's University or at Savannah College of Art and Design in the United States. But my father felt that it would be too far for me to commute between and back and forth when I had to come visit the family, and it's only a 6-7 hour flight from Pakistan to London. And London wasn't on the top of my priority list in terms of university choices. In regards to your question, where it's a dilemma for women and females to have a choice in this country, I am here to tell you that whatever I'm doing now is because I want to help them. I want to build that strength in their mind, and I want to build or create a school for girls and women in particular, because I want to give them that ability to feel that confidence, that drive, that passion, that I have a choice and I have the willpower and I am capable of doing anything I set my mind to. Whether they are religious or they're not religious is despite the fact that they have choices, because they're human beings. And there has to be someone that pushes them towards that goal, that end point. And I think that there's a dearth of that in our country, in Pakistan. और हमारे मुल्क में इतनी resources हैं, इतना कुछ हमारे पास पाकिस्तान में ही और पाकिस्तान के अंदर है, लेकिन हमें वो एजुकेशन को एनहांस करने के लिए हमें बाहर जाने की ज़रूरत पड़ती है. इसका ये मतलब नहीं कि मैं जो पढ़ आके पाकिस्तान आके मैं नहीं इजाफा लाना चाहती, ये बात नहीं है, इससे मुराद नहीं है. इससे मुराद ये है कि बाहर जाके आपको थोड़े आपकी और स्किल्स पॉलिश हो जाते हैं, रिफाइंड हो जाते हैं, आपकी एजुकेशन सिस्टम थोड़ी बिल्ड होती है, और आप सफ़र करने से आपकी दिमाग की इजाफियात और पढ़ाई लिखाई बढ़ती है. इसके बरक्स कि आप किताब खोल के कुछ भी पढ़ो, क्योंकि आपको कंपैरेटिव स्टडीज़ करने के लिए ट्रैवल करना पड़ता है डिफरेंट लोकेशंस, और आपकी जर्नी के दौरान आपको समझ आती है कि उल्टे हाथ और सीधे हाथ का क्या फ़र्क है. तो उसकी वजूहत ये है कि हर इंसान और हर मुल्क और हर कल्चर, कौम और लैंग्वेज का फ़र्क होता है. तो उसको सीखने के लिए आपको ख़ुद उसको फ़र्स्ट हैंड एक्सपीरियंस करना ज़रूरी है. इस लिहाज से मैं पाकिस्तान छोड़ के गई, और उसके अलावा क्योंकि मुझे दमे का प्रॉब्लम है बचपन से, और मुझे हर सीज़न मतलब स्प्रिंग के दौरान मेरी जो तबीयत होती है काफ़ी मज़ीद ख़राब हो जाती है. तो उसको थोड़ा अपना ज़िंदगी का इजाफा बढ़ाने के लिए और अपने सांस में थोड़ा सा स्मूथ रखना है, मैंने अपना ऑक्सीजन लेवल्स इंक्रीज़ करने, उसके लिए मुझे थोड़ा ऐसी जगह जाना पड़ता है जिधर पोल्यूशन कम हो और लाइक एयर क्वालिटी बेहतर हो. और दुबई में obviously it's a desert and it is, but we've got such great facilities in Dubai itself. Everything is very clean, polished and very meticulously created there. So you can choose where you want to live and how you want to live. And so if I live near downtown, which is a sort of a cleaner area. It's a more organized area. It's closer to Dubai Mall. And it's very populated. There's a lot of traffic and everything there. But you're not allowed to drive your car on the roads, especially in those areas, if your car isn't maintained. And the problem is that people don't maintain their cars, and they drive cars that have bad combustion, and they have bad oiling, and they don't get their cars fixed in time, which causes extensive amount of pollution and carbon footsteps, which is also a reason why I'm driving a Tesla, because it's an electronic car. And I'm not saying that that's going to help with the economy over and above having a car that runs on petrol or gas. But in my mind, if I can contribute 1 to 5% towards my planet in any form of way, be it driving an electronic car and also collectively doing things that would help my environment, especially the sea life, I recycle. So these things make me feel like I am doing better as a human being and as a person.
So आपने जब अपनी स्टडी मुकम्मल की यूके से डायरेक्टली आप जो है रिलोकेट हो गई दुबई, या यू वर्क देयर एज अ प्रोफेशन इन यूके एज वेल इन द फैशन इंडस्ट्री?
No, I moved back to Pakistan. I launched my brand
with the name of
Zaiena Accessories.
Okay.
And I got a lot of publications. It was very successful. I was making outfits and dresses. I was doing digitally printed out, clothes. I did some fashion shows. मैं कराची में fashion week में participate किया, ठीक है. उसके बाद फिर मैंने pocket squares और scarves digitally printed बनाने शुरू कर दिए, सियालकोट वगैरह से. वो फिर मैंने international level पे sell करना शुरू कर दिया. Then I got married, and that was not a success. Once I called an end to it, I changed my life goals and my career paths and everything. Sometimes you go through certain circumstances and obstacles in your life, and those could or couldn't be your choices. Regardless of the fact, it is good to change your goals and your career paths, because that's how you evolve as an individual.
If you don't mind me asking, the reason of your divorce, because आप एक पढ़े लिखे ख़ानदान से ताल्लुक़ रखती हैं, and you went abroad to study, your life partner, I don't know who he was, क्या वो एक अच्छे educated background से नहीं था, या पढ़ाई नहीं हुई थी? What was the reason, in general, just to understand the marriages that fall apart these days?
Well, that's a question that I wasn't prepared for, but nonetheless, I knew it was coming.
I didn't know. मुझे भी नहीं पता था. It just out of the blue.
I'm an extremely vocal person, and I'm not afraid to talk about the fact that I made a bad choice to get married to someone who was not right for me in every sense of the way.
Was it your choice?
It was my choice, yeah. And it was the worst choice in my life. But it was the best choice in the sense that I wouldn't be where I am in my life today if it wasn't for that bad choice.
How did it help you to be where you are in your life today?
It helped me start doing my postgraduate degree in psychology and neuroscience from one of the most reputed and best colleges in the world, King's College, because they are obviously very well known for their psychology department. Because I went through an emotional trauma for 8 years of my life, post-marriage, pre-marriage as well. So sometimes girls find escape routes, and those escape routes are bad choices in relationships, because we feel like our parents are either too strict, overbearing, and their choices are not aligned with our choices. So in turn, we find an escape route. And sometimes that escape route is a reflection of what we're internally suffering. And I think that I suffered something internally that caused a lot of emotional trauma. And in turn, that ended up in a very badly choiced marriage, which caused a lot of trial and tribule and a lot of pain and struggle for my family as well as for myself. During the marriage, I learned and realized that sometimes when we make poor choices, we have to have someone to back our escape routes. And if it wasn't for my father, I wouldn't have been able to escape that nightmare. And I'm pretty sure that my ex-husband will watch this, and he may lash out, but it doesn't bother or concern me because I'm not afraid of speaking the truth. Other than that, it just was it was disturbing, let's just say. I don't want to go into details, but it was a very dark time in my life. And I thought a part of me had died. And in order for me to relive my life again, I had to relive my life in the same place that I had struggled during my marriage, which was in Dubai. So I lived the nightmare, and now I'm reliving my life, and it's the best life that I could have ever chosen. And I am so grateful, and I'm so calm, and I'm at peace with myself. And other than the fact that I had made that bad choice, I learned that people are very significant, and they're also very insignificant. It's a paradox. I always thought that my happiness depended on the kind of people I spend my time with, which is true. My father always told me, and he always tells me, my father is my mentor, by the way, and so is my coach, George Farah. So I'm very indebted to them. Without my father's guidance and my coach, George Farah's guidance, I wouldn't be where I am today. In life, we make bad choices, and in order to have better choices in life, we have to better educate ourselves. We have to read more. We have to spend time with more experienced people. My father's obviously lived 90 years of his life, and God gave him a long life and health. I have now understood the value of empathy and humility more than I'd ever thought. It took me just 39 years and a half to understand that compassion and empathy are such important factors. And in order to inhibit those, you have to really go through rough times and tough times. So I'm very grateful for going through a very bad marriage in order to empathize with the rest of the world around me and to make better choices when it comes to friendships, relationships, and even the relationship with my parents. Be more patient with them, be more compassionate, understanding, because they're the people that gave me life on this planet. And I struggle to understand and respect that idea because their ideas didn't match with mine, owing to the fact that we have a huge generation gap. But we're so fortunate to just have our parents. And after witnessing such emotional, traumatic, dark times in this world at the end of 2023, it makes me feel even more emotionally in touch with my senses, with my thoughts, with everything. Every time I walk outside, every conversation I have, I'm very conscious of how I feel and think, and how my presence and my conversations or my abilities to help someone else matter. So if I see someone after a 5 to 10 year span, and that's someone I've known, like I met a couple of my old friends last night at a gathering, and I honestly wasn't in any mind frame, in any emotional capacity to go because of the atrocities that are taking place right now in Gaza. I just needed to get out of that discomfort, that feeling. And in order to do that, I needed to be around people that I was once close to and comfortable with. No matter what the results were, I needed to be in a different environment. I had started to isolate myself because I wanted to learn more about myself and grow and mentally be stronger. And I keep fighting that ability and that thought in my mind. And in order to do that, you have to spend more time with yourself.
Because बातों में ये चीज़ें बड़े आसान लगती हैं. हम लोग सक्सेस स्टोरीज भी देखते हैं, हम लोगों को ब्रेक डाउन भी देखते हैं, इमोशनली ट्रॉमेटाइज भी देखते हैं. जब लाइफ में उनके साथ बुरा होता है, they go through a very depressive time, right? Or I don't know, just trying to understand कि वो टाइम तो definitely मुश्किल हुआ होगा आपके लिए when you are emotionally traumatized, or when you have a nightmare, right? How to get off that nightmare? What was that like? Like, सही है, आप खफा हो और इमोशनली इतने ब्रेक डाउन हो चुके हो that sometimes you think यार अब लाइफ का कोई मकसद ही नहीं है, और आपको कोई वे फॉरवर्ड ही नज़र नहीं आ रहा, या आपको एट द एंड ऑफ द टनल कोई होप नज़र नहीं आ रही. तो were there friends who help you get in control of that situation? Yeah, how it went through that whole drama?
It's extremely important to have the right kind of support system.
And in your case was? were the parents who were there?
My father and some of my friends. My mother has different choices, different decisions, different setbacks. She's also been through a really, really tough life, and she's struggled a lot to be where she is. She's a very compassionate and very delicate and sensitive human being. She's got a beautiful heart. My father is very soft-hearted, but he's a hard shell on the outside. You know, he's obviously done a lot to save this country, and he's put his life on the front line of everything in regards to Pakistan, even to this date, where he's 90 years old and he sits and he works, he reads, he writes, he's working on his 5th edition of his book. And simultaneously, he's trying to find a way to secure his children's future. So he's always concerned about his kids. And that just makes me realize that parenthood is so difficult. Relationships are so complex. The traumas that we go through are encompassed around the environment, and that's so detrimental for your children and in the future of your children. And in order to safeguard your children's future, you just have to give them the right guidance, but then you can't sort of hold their hands throughout that lifespan and that journey and sort of force them or compel them to live a certain way or think a certain way. आप उनको वो पढ़ाई लिखाई करा के आप उनको फिर छोड़ देते हैं कि अब आप अपनी ज़िंदगी खुद ही जियो और आपको अच्छे और बुरे में फ़र्क खुद ही सीखना पड़ेगा.
तो आपके केस में क्या था? The fitness enthusiasm in you to break that cycle?
Yeah, I think so. I think that bodybuilding helped me evolve on a mental capacity.
How did you first discover it? Like, hey, this is something that I would be interested in the first place.
So I've been a national swimmer. I've always been into sports. My mom always encouraged us kids to be involved in arts and performance and extracurricular activities. We used to do horse riding together. My mother and my brother and I, we used to go cross country into the forest. We grew up swimming, cycling, roller skating, rollerblading. We spent a lot of our summer vacations in Europe with our parents. We were very privileged growing up, and we were very exposed to a lifestyle and a mindset that was not equivalent to that of an average Pakistani. So we had the ability and the liberty to grow up on a very independent thought process and with a very sort of confident and comfortable lifestyle, which gave us the opportunity to live the life that we are living now with the choices we were able to make independently. So if there's one thing my father taught me, that was to think and be independent and be very outspoken and vocal and don't ever be afraid of anything. That confidence only instilled over a passage of time. And I had to go through that rough patch in my marriage and my life in order for me to be where I am today. I was very conscious and self-conceited and very concerned with how people perceived me as an individual, as opposed to now where I can walk out with a shopping bag and I don't really care if someone is assessing me or my lifestyle based on the kind of exterior outfit or my look or the things that I'm carrying or the accessories that I have. And this is something that you have to discover on your own basis. And in order to do that, I had to be spending more time with myself. I had to be removing people from my life in order to be that person. I needed to be comfortable in my own space. I need to sit in a coffee shop and be okay with being on my own. I need to pick up more books and learn and expand my horizon and educate myself further and extensively in the subjects that I never thought I'd have interest in. I never thought I had the ability to or be able to study more at this age, because as you get older, you realize that your brain cells are diminishing and they're decreasing, you know. The younger you are, the more capacity your brain is more expansive, you know. It has the capability of learning things, you know, on a different horizon. And I'm learning chess, I'm doing my postgraduate in psychology, and it's so complex, but it's a challenge that I'm willing to accept, and I'm very happy to do it because I'm able to use that education and bring it back to Pakistan and help people who are not in that affordability factor, you know, the people who can't afford to have mental support everybody's got medical aid, and medical aid is so expensive in Pakistan as it is. But moreover, if you prevent people from medication, you need to give them psychological and psychotherapy. You need to figure out what are the core elements. Where does this problem stem from? Once you understand and you educate yourself about that, then you're able to build a better mindset and future for them. And in order to do that, you have to study the subject and not just read about it and just pretend like you're a doctor or you're a psychologist. Because you pick up a rock and you find every other guy is a doctor, fitness coach, nutritionist, doctor, psychotherapist, life coach and all that stuff. But it's true that you do need life experience in accordance to, like sharing that knowledge, but you also have to have the right education and the right background, right knowledge. And you can read thousands of books to get that as well, as opposed to having just a degree. But you still need to educate yourself. You can't sort of survive on folk tales and conversations built on Google conversations or searching stuff that doesn't have any weight to it. You need things with proper research and background, with proper dates. And, when we were studying for a paper in psychology, or when we were studying about neuroscience, you have to have very accurate information research based on experiments that are non-biased or things that are not paid or endorsed by companies, because most of the time that's the benefit of them, is because the companies are backing them up. You need something that's non-biased. You need something that's non-superficial, and something that is accurate to the extent and to the T of it's very meticulous. It's very mathematical, as is the body. The human body is very mathematical. God has created human beings as a science experiment, let's say. And that is that we live to eat, we don't eat to live. We're meant to survive. And in order to be in survival mode, you have to have the adequate amount of nutrition to survive. So when I got into fitness and the enthusiasm built over passage of time, I started competing. And with that, the mindset of resistance, resilience, self-abstinence, and fighting those battles in your mind came about.
जो कि आपका early days थे when you discovered the sports, because swimming champion आप already थी, sports आप already खेला करती थी, how horse riding हो, how वो swimming हो. But when you discovered this sport of bodybuilding, like how were the initial days in terms of कि यार ये तो males का sport है, females तो well, I don't know at that time when you started were females and girls were into this sports. How were those days when you started the sport?
Well, I had a couple of friends that are Pakistani living overseas that had already developed the skill of bodybuilding, or similarly close to the field of bodybuilding.
Okay.
Like Mariam Nisam is a dear friend of mine. She was doing powerlifting. I wasn't very familiar with her, but I knew of her and I knew what she was doing. And then over a passage of time, we got to know each other and we got closer. My friend Abbas owns a gym and a supplement store. He's one of the pioneers of it, Jack Nutrition, if you guys are familiar with it. Two of my other friends have their own personal training studio here as well. And I watched them growing up, including a few of my friends who were colleagues at the time, who were also living in Dubai. A friend of mine, Adnan, I learned a lot from him as well when I was in the gym, watching other people building muscle. And then I started dating someone that was a fan of bodybuilding, and he really helped me pursue this career over a passage of time by helping me learn about it, the benefits of it, the pros and the cons, and the techniques.
What's the benefit of it? Like, लोगों को लगता है कि bodybuilding का जो sport है ना, बड़े muscles और you look bulky, you look very muscular. This is the whole benefit of the game. Like, did you join it for the same reason, or like आपके दिमाग पर कुछ और था कि यार the reason I'm getting into this sports, अगर मैं swimming करती थी तो I was like feeling fresh, energetic, or I'm more focused when I'm doing other things, right? Because ये आपका एक जो है सबसे बड़ा advantage होता है जब भी आप किसी sport में जाते हो. तो when you were getting in the sport of bodybuilding, what was like your goal? क्या achieve करना चाह रही थी आप उस वक्त?
हाय मेरा दिल धड़क रहा है तेज तेज, ऐसे लगता है मुझे नया नया इश्क हो रहा है.
अच्छा, बिकॉज आई आस्क दिस क्वेश्चन अगेन, और शायद आपको मैं वो क्या कहते हैं ट्रैवल बैक करा रहा हूँ इन टाइम.
Travel back in time. So you've taken me back in time. And to refresh my memory, I wanted to look and feel strong because I had gone through a traumatic marriage. And actually, wait 1 second. I'm sorry. Let's recap that.
Take your time.
I didn't know jack all about bodybuilding. I was just watching individuals around me, and in the US and overseas. Bodybuilding erupted from the US. It stems from there, actually. And I've been to the East Coast, West Coast. I mean, I've been traveling to the US my whole life. And I've grown up watching these people on magazines. And I was always a fan of buying these silly magazines from the bookstores. And I'd see these individuals who look so phenomenally fit, and they're standing there with their sports bras and their six-pack abs and these beautiful, perfect smiles, and their hair is tossed away from their shoulders, and they're just encapsulating this phenomena of an environment just by looking and feeling fit. I think that idea engulfed in me, and eventually it made me pursue the idea of further learning and pushing myself into the field of sports, particularly bodybuilding. I never thought about the pros and the cons because I was still in the dilemma of wanting to look remotely close to what I was watching in the magazines and on television, TV series and things like that. So once I got to learn it, I started watching my body change. I started eating to some extent. It's a prerequisite. You need to eat to grow muscle and to sustain your muscle and to have a good physique. You need to be very particular and very calculative with the kind of food you're having. Your food has to be dialed in all the time, and it has to be timely as well. I never really understood that until much later in my life when I started to compete on international stages. And in order to get to that stage, I had to go through trial and error. Of course, watching other people make mistakes, learning from their mistakes, studying a bit about it. And then my teacher, Sayeda, who is, he's one of the affiliates for a fitness institute called IFBB. He's responsible for me being where I am today. If it wasn't for him, I don't really think I would have evolved into the life of being a coach or as a teacher. And also Mr. Chen. I have to be grateful and show my appreciation towards the teachers and the people that I have grown up with, including my Urdu teacher, Miss Kutsia, who was my teacher in, 6th grade or 7th grade. I still remember her. मुझे शर्म आती थी उस वक्त उर्दू भी बात करने की. जिम में भी हम लोग इंग्लिश में बात करते जैसे हमारे माँ बाप वलैत के, और अब मुझे उर्दू की अहमियत समझ आती है. जब हम लोग जिम में जाते थे हमें ये होता था कि we have to wear the coolest clothes, we have to be dressed in the most top line sportswear, and that was my motivation. My motivation was basically wearing the coolest leggings, speaking English, and sort of flaunting all these fancy things that have zero relevance or importance in my life today. And those are some of the things that kind of got me involved in bodybuilding. The outfits, the magazines, the appearance all together, looking good in front of the mirror. And that is what concludes to dysmorphia. Because once you do attain that perfection, you're able to see every ligament, every muscle, you're able to create that physique. It's a Greek goddess physique. Once you attain that ultimate physique, then you understand the importance of nutrition, mindset, supplementation, your environment, the people that you sit with, you spend your time with. All of those things are such important factors and conclude to your outlook. When you start competing and you're doing bodybuilding, you have to disassociate yourself from the world. It's a very lonely world. When I got into bodybuilding 15 odd years ago, when I started in Islamabad, I never really had this perception of being lonely in any point or having a very
Why lonely? Because आप exercise करते हो, you have these gym buddies that you get to talk to or sit down with, you have your coach and mentors. You are around with a different set of friends, right? Who are in the industry or they're helping you grow, you are helping them, you're discussing, you are meeting outside. How you can say that it's a lonely journey? Like इसका ये मतलब है कि जो आपके कॉलेज के दोस्त थे, जो आपके स्कूल के दोस्त थे, they are now irrelevant. Like if they were to say यार let's hang out, or let's say यार वो मनाल चलते हैं वहाँ पे खाना खाते हैं, या let's sit out in this new fine dining area, या चोले और चटखारेदार खुराकें. सो आपको ये लाइफ रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर देती है ऐसी चीज़ों से.
जी.
If you are into like,
if you're a professional bodybuilder, forget about all this stuff.
Once in a while, हफ्ते में एक आध मर्तबा, still you can do it. Come on.
I have evolved from the concept of wanting to attain the pro card, because I have competed in some of the best competitions in the world.
I think you are referring to IFBB.
Yeah, it's an IFBB Pro League. I'm not a pro athlete. I'm a pro athlete. I'm not a pro IFBB athlete.
Okay.
Pro athlete in the sense.
What's the difference? Yes, just curious.
So, I have been an athlete for 15 odd years, and I've been doing it professionally. So that makes me a pro athlete because I have clients, I have people who look up to me. I have helped people evolve and change their lifestyles. A lot of people went through depression and other things, and I was able to help them. I've done it on a professional level. I've competed against professional athletes, but I still haven't attained my professional IFBB card, which is not significant for me, and it never has been.
What is this card? Do you have to like certify?
So you have to compete in some of the top competitions in this federation, particularly globally. And it's like some of them are point system based. You compete against men and women. Sorry, women against women, of course, as I mentioned on Virgin Radio as well. I said women against women, men against men. Okay, there's different categories. There's for women, it's bikini, physique, figure, and women's WPD, and what else is there? And bodybuilding. Okay. I did figure, which is where you're required to have a very tapered waistline, not very striated or shredded glutes, but your glutes have to be shredded. They just don't have to be striated or extremely, vascular as compared to women's physique. Okay, I'll explain to you in detail. So, and you have to have a very sort of wide back, and it has to be very sort of detailed. You have to have capped shoulders, nice big capped shoulders. I'll show you some of the shoots that I did, so that you have an understanding of what I'm in relative to what I'm talking about. And so each category, like wellness, bikini, women's physique, and figure, have specific requirements by the federation itself. Okay, you have to go through several competitions in order for your physique to evolve. So each time you prep, your physique gets better. Your muscle maturity enhances, the quality of the muscle, your knowledge, the kind of peak you're doing. Your peak is your most important element during your stage performance, which only lasts for 30 seconds of your life, which you spend crying, dying, you're tortured, you're tormented mentally and physically, because it's such a difficult thing to do. You're scrutinized in terms of your social life. You don't have a social life. You have to eat the same way every single day. And we prep for a good 6 to 8 months. So we have like a off season where you're building the muscle up, and off season and on season only pertains to people who do professional bodybuilding and competing. It doesn't have any relevance to regular people like you and
normal
your
people,
colleagues
yes.
in France. Okay. The purpose of off season is that you build extra muscle tissue and fibers to create a better enhanced physique to be on a pro level. So the requirements of the federation are given to you, and then you just build and work towards it.
और ये फेडरेशन क्या पूरी दुनिया में जारी बात है रिकग्नाइज होती होगी is it one of the biggest one in the world that
Yes, it
people
is.
are so obsessed with कि यार उनको ये सारी जो मुख्तलिफ categories के criterias हैं fulfill करें and they won the competition
that's
and
how you-
they get these what I can say like rewards from this federation that अगर उनको उनका कार्ड आपको मिल जाता है so what does this mean internationally to you like
Internationally means everything. You get better sponsorships, you get better recognition, you get more respect in the field of bodybuilding, and you get to work your way towards Olympia, the Olympia stage, which is the ultimate stage. That's the stage that everyone looks at, and there's a bright light, and you just see a silhouette of a perfect sculpture, and you're just imagining yourself standing there.
वो ओलंपिया वो वाले जिसमें बड़े मस्कुलर किस्म के
Arnold Schwarzenegger and all the top athletes. So at first when I started competing, that was my goal. Okay. But as I got into it deeper and deeper, I understood and realized that it's a very dark place to be.
Other than आपने कहा one of the cons that I understand is that you are very lonely. आपका एक वो होता है बस एक diet plan, nutrition आपकी चलती है.
No, you're not very lonely. Let me correct you there. You have to choose a lonely lifestyle because people don't understand how hard it is for you to get to where you are. And in order for you to get to where you are, you have to choose to be alone. Being lonely and choosing to be alone are two different things.
जो आपके दोस्त होंगे, do you feel like they will not understand what you are going through?
Oh, it doesn't matter to me because the friends that love me and care about me and vice versa are going to be there for my lifetime.
So if they are gonna be with you through this thick and thin, right? Why you still say कि यार बड़ा lonely journey है? If there is somebody to talk to listen to your depressive story or whatever hormonal change or whatever this struggle of 8 months to prepare for an event means, right? They would listen to you, right?
Naturally.
You can still hang out with them. Yeah, सही है, हम चाय नहीं पिएंगे
Well, of
because
course, I went out like initial years of my competitive preparations. I used to go out and join my friends when I used to go to clubs and things like that, and I just have some sparkling water and sit there and watch them make a fool of themselves. It was fun. And honestly speaking, this is what builds you, and this is character building. This is what gives you mental and physical strength. And these are the choices we make on an individual basis. It's not because chalo yaar life itni choti hai, bahar jaake pakode khate hain aur samose khate hain. It's not about that. It's about doing something that only 10% of the world's population can do and attain. That's what makes me individual from the rest of the people around me, is that no one can imagine remotely coming close to looking like me. So it's hard for me to compare myself to an average individual.
But if you're so disciplined, right, and so focused towards this sports, तो आप क्यों नहीं जा रहे उस particular discipline में, which requires maybe a lot than currently what you are doing? You are already pro, right? But in order to get to the next level and get these sponsorships and whatnot, right? Why you are not striving towards that?
Because I've changed my mind. I've seen the goods and the bads.
Tell me the bads. The goods to समझ में आ गई, you will get.
Okay, so because it's such a comparative sport, you're compared and your judgment is based on what the judges decide. But ultimately, what you're putting in front of the world is the judgment, and that ultimately affects you. But I'm not concerned about other people's judgment, but inevitably that's what happens. And people are very cruel in the sport of bodybuilding, similar to politicians. Both of them coincide in some way or the other. They're very self-conceited and selfish in many ways or the other. And obviously that's on a broad spectrum, like politicians everywhere in the world are not necessarily all bad, but bodybuilders want what's best for them individually. There are many bodybuilders I look up to, and they're extremely phenomenal human beings, but not everyone can be like them. They have attained and achieved goals in life, like Rolly Winkler, Big Ramy, C-Bum, and my friend Ulysses and Ronnie Winkler. They're very dear friends of mine, okay? And I know them and I've spent time with them on a personal level, and the level they've reached is not a level that most athletes can reach today because the standards and requirements have changed. They're on a different equilibrium, okay? And in the beginning, when bodybuilding started and evolved, these athletes were the people, the role models that all the other younger athletes and people evolving in this sport used to look up to. So it was a very different, they had different setbacks. They have different requirements. Nowadays, people are very self-conceited, snobby, and very arrogant. They're very disrespectful towards the people who are just evolving and developing the skill of bodybuilding. And I never really understood that until much later. That if you're going to bully people in your people in the same environment that want to also learn and be as good as you are, then what's the point of you being an athlete that people look up to? You're supposed to be an idol. You're supposed to be someone that people look up to, which means that you have to have and encompass those characteristics as well. Mm-hmm. So if you're not going to be kind and nice and nurturing towards people who look up to you, then you don't serve your purpose.
But why don't you set this standard for yourself? Set this goal for yourself.
Oh, yeah, I've already done that. But as a Pakistani and as a female, of course, we have limitations. And eventually I have...
What kind of limitations you're talking about?
I get... As a woman gets older, it gets harder. You know, your body changes, and sometimes you're just comfortable being just healthy and just pursuing a lifestyle that's going to help you attain a specific physique, but not to that ultimate level of extorting your body and putting yourself through hell. Because prepping for competition requires your body to go through a metamorphosis, and it's not a healthy one. So I decided that I've come to that end point and I've done what I had to and I've attained what I've had to. And since I'm the first female from Pakistan in the world as a passport holder and not someone who lives in the UK and in the US and claims that being a Pakistani athlete, because no, you've spent your entire life devoted to being an athlete in the US or in the UK or anywhere else in the world. And your setbacks and everything that you whatever you're sort of giving back to the community is where you live. But for myself, on a personal level, I'm giving back to my community in Pakistan as well as abroad. It's both ways.
So you feel like the age is the factor which is stopping you to reach that potential?
Not really.
Or do you feel like अगर मैं 5-10 साल पहले start कर लेती sport code, things would have been much different?
Right. Okay, so age is not an element, because when you start getting involved in fitness or sports, you have an additional 10 to 15 to 20 years over and above your life currently. Bodybuilding, resistance training, fitness inevitably adds those years to your life, because you're preventing yourself from many diseases that people suffer from because of being overweight, collagen deficiencies, iron deficiencies, bone density deficiencies, arthritis and other things are all developed, and mental issues, mental diseases, people disengage with the idea that if I have a strong mindset, then my body will be strong too. You know, your mind has to be strong first and your body will follow. And in order to strengthen your mind, you need to be able to go through these hardships. And bodybuilding is not an easy sport. You have to go through that hardship. You have to really struggle. You have to push yourself through the limitations that are superseding and exceeding those expectations from other people. They look at you and they're like, God, I can't do that. But if you tell yourself, I can do anything I set my mind to, I will be able to do it. I'm going to set that goal, and I'm going to set small achievable goals. So my advice to everyone who likes or wants to get into fitness and wants to be healthy and so on and so forth, set small achievable goals. Don't sell yourself short either, and give yourself some leeway and grant yourself some gratitude. Tell yourself that you appreciate the efforts you're putting in. Talk to yourself and convince yourself that you're doing good. Be a better human being. Be empathetic, be kind, and treat everyone equally, whether the person who's working in your house as a sweeper, cleaning your toilets, or whether it's your grandfather. Each human being requires to have the same respect level, because that's what human beings are meant to do on this planet. The minute you start to do that, you build strength in your mind. The minute you educate yourself, you start to strengthen your mindset. The minute you go through different obstacles in life, your mindset improves, it gets stronger. And then your body is going to follow that. A healthy mind is a healthy body. A healthy lifestyle is important. Don't complicate the situation by getting into subjects like supplementation, blah, blah, blah. Just find a good coach, a good leader, a good person that can guide you in the right way without you having to spend too much money. You just need whole foods. You need a gym that's functional with the right or bare minimum equipment. And that is going to start you from where you need to. And then set yourself up to short achievable goals. Like, okay, I want to do a photo shoot in 4 to 6 weeks. So what is it that I need to do? Let me talk to a professional. Let me, save some pocket money. And let me get the best guidance. That way you won't have to worry about the extra expenses that are irrelevant, and people focus too much on things that are not important. Okay. So having said that, bodybuilding is a very dark place to be. Once you choose to be in that dark place, you have to be prepared to alleviate yourself from the social parameters, the clubbing, the partying, and all that stuff, because it requires for you to socialize, eat certain foods, and a lot of people don't have that tolerance level. You hide the cookie jar from a child, he's going to want to look for it. It's the same for an adult. The more you restrict someone from doing something and you tell them that you're on a diet, they're going to feel restricted. So the best thing for you to do as an individual is first master your nutrition and first learn to get to a moderate to healthy lifestyle first. See how far it takes you. When you consistently follow pursuit in anything, in any field of life, when you consistently follow a diet plan or a nutrition plan, which includes all the things you enjoy eating. So it could have roti, rice, corn, avocados, oats, bread, and all that stuff. Just eat the same amount you do on a regular basis, on a weekly basis. And then after a week or 10 days, you assess your average weight and see whether it's going down or going up. That way you go into a deficit, which means you reduce your average amount of calories on a weekly basis. Or if you want to increase some muscle mass capacity, then you progressively overload your training system. And in accordance to that, you increase the calories on a weekly basis. And then you'll see your weight and your body changing.
अगर हमने वही खुराक खानी है, बस उसका थोड़ा सा cleaner version ही खाना है, right? You can still eat your roti or your rice and your chicken and your fish and your meat and your chickpeas and your lentils, right? अगर आपने वही खानी है और चलो उसका थोड़ा सा cleaner version खाना है, तो why this? You are saying why this sport is then difficult then? Because you're not. आप ये नहीं कह रही जिस तरह हम ट्रेडिशनली अपने वेट लॉस ट्रेनर से सुनते हैं कि आपने रोटी भी छोड़ देनी है, आपने चावल भी छोड़ देना है और आपने तो सुबह शाम जो है वो सैलेड ही खाना है, सही है, टू लूज दिस, यस, टू लूज योर फैट, राइट, बॉडी फैट. बट व्हाट यू आर सेइंग इज कि आपकी न्यूट्रिशन वही अगेन क्लीनर वर्जन, बट देन व्हाई यू आर सेइंग कि यार ये स्पोर्ट्स बहुत ज़्यादा डिफिकल्ट है? इज लाइक द ईटिंग पार्ट इज डिफिकल्ट और द ट्रेनिंग पार्ट इज डिफिकल्ट? Or when you say कि training part, तो what you are suggesting कि यार training हमेशा जो है किसी trainer की supervision में होनी चाहिए, but you can find these days sorts of videos on YouTube, या you can buy somebody's program sitting in UAE or USA, Gora, who have well researched everything, who has laid down everything कि यार Monday का workout plan क्या होगा, Tuesday का क्या होगा, and you can just follow that. Or you feel like a coach or mentor is still very important. Somebody who is there checking out your workout, your angles, your techniques, your forms. Yeah, you can still this sport on your own. Which one is better?
Well, let's start with the fact that you asked me why I think this sport is difficult.
Yeah.
Well, it all comes down to your mindset, as I said several times. Once you build a strong mindset and you accept the fact that you have set yourself a goal and now you have to work towards it, which means that it entails difficult obstacles along the way.
Just ये कह देना कि I want to achieve this goal for myself to be just healthy, right? मैंने कोई मुकाबलों में तो compete करना नहीं है.
That's nothing to do with bodybuilding.
If that is not the goal to compete at national level या international level, still you are saying कि यार फिर भी बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है to put your mind to the goal कि यार मुझे healthy lifestyle चाहिए.
People get bored. People want motivation. People need to thrive on something. A quote. They're not disciplined. They're not made or born to be disciplined. Not everyone can have the same discipline. Not one plan fits all.
So in your case, the motivation was to look at these magazines, or you wanted to have that type of physique, so that was your motivation of doing
whatever
that
I saw abroad and how I saw athletes appearing on magazines. Until I got on the cover of a magazine, I didn't realize the importance of it. And once I did, then I understood how much hard work it entails. But let's not compare, because Pakistanis have a very different lifestyle than foreigners do. We eat desi ghee wale khane, rotiyan aur ye sari cheezein. They don't eat that kind of food.
But they eat McDonald's and this ultra processed food, and you look at the obesity rate in US and these developed nation, you can check कि वहाँ पर diabetes क्या है. We are still eating at least better than them. सही है, जो हम लोग अक्सर बात करते हैं यार, ये रोटी वाला element, that is not the food that is made for humans, right? But they're also eating unhealthy foods as well, and there is this particular percentage, particular sector of the society जो कि health conscious होता है. People like you, even in Pakistan और US में जो लोग हैं, there's a very small population जो कि health conscious होती है, जो कि clean eating के बारे में सोचती है, and they explore their options, right? Same with all the human beings around the world.
What I mean by saying lifestyle is that
they drink.
देसी घराने में हमारे शोरबे और घी वाले खाने होते हैं, ठीक है, वो मैकडॉनल्ड्स से 100 गुना हेल्थी हैं, ठीक है, लेकिन हमारी क्वांटिटी भी माशाल्लाह से
yes, we are in a calorie surplus thing. We don't know how much we are eating. A healthy human being would require like around, give or take, according to whatever the FDA says, 2000 calorie, right? But we don't know कि हमारे एक पराठे में ही शायद 400 calories हों, and at the end of the day, because of our sedentary lifestyle, कि हम स्पोर्ट्स में इतना नहीं है या जनरली वॉक जॉग भी नहीं करते हैं, तो वी मे नॉट नो. हमने समोसा भी खाया दोपहर को, हमने फिर उसके बाद खाना भी खाया, फिर यार दोस्त आ गए, फिर चाय के ठेले पर बैठ गए, वहाँ पर एक एक्स्ट्रा पराठा खा लिया, अंडा भी ऑर्डर कर दिया. फिर शाम को आए, अम्मा ने कहा कि खाना भी रेडी है, तो अम्मा ने बिरयानी बनाई हुई थी, तो हमने वो भी खा ली. उसके बाद यार हमने कहा कि एक रस मलाई भी हो जाए साथ में, राइट, और एक चाय का कप दोबारा हो जाए. सो without knowing, counting these calories, right, we are eating a lot, and yes, it would have the same impact on you as somebody who is eating McDonald's like 3 times a day. So calorie wise, we are consuming the same amount of food that will ultimately make you unhealthy, obese, and lead you to other these conditions of diabetes and insulin resistance. Absolutely. And whatnot.
Yeah, you also it could be hereditary as well. A lot of people have insulin resistance, or you know, sort of not able to understand they don't have the propensate for this stuff, because they don't really know what they've inherited as well. Other than that, if you eat within a certain limit of food, then you don't have to worry about problems in the future. Longevity should be a priority. Eating things that you enjoy eating should be a priority, but eating within limitations is a prerequisite for you to be a normal, functional human being. In regards to fast food and processed food, that's culturally something that's probably, you know, inhibited within those people in the US. There's such a high rate of obesity there because they're very lazy. They don't like to cook their own food. They like to do TV dinners and microwave food. So everything is highly processed with all kinds of nonsense. Seed oils, processed oils that block your arteries, anything and everything that you can buy on the shelves that is under and above a affordable budget that you can bulk and buy in you know, sort of stock up on for your household. And what you're doing is you're just basically buying diseases and heavy hospital bills over a long passage of time. With processed and fast food, it's impossible to avoid them because you see them everywhere. You go to the petrol pump, you pick up a bottle of Coke Zero or a bottle of water, and you're going to want a pack of crisps because that's just something we grew up eating and we just want to have some snacks. But there's a huge variety of healthier snacks that are available, and they're not available in every country, especially not in the US. I really struggled when I was in the US. I didn't eat McDonald's because I have a love-hate relationship with it. It tastes like I'm eating my Barbie's food. It's prepackaged and it all looks the same, and it doesn't do anything for me. I like gourmet food, gourmet burgers, things like that. But when I was in the US, I really did struggle, and there is a huge increment of obesity over a passage of time. It keeps going up because people are lazy and they just don't want to expend energy. If you expend energy on a daily basis, you have an average of 8 to 10,000 steps if they set for you, and you eat within a 2,000 to 3,000 calorie requirement based on what you want your physique to look like, then you're going in the right direction, and you're not going to have to worry about paying your hospital bills eventually in the long run. But in Pakistan, we enjoy eating food and we don't know our limitations because it tastes great. It's made with such great quality products and great ingredients and homemade masalas and things like that we just don't know when to stop. And I did exactly that when I came here, but I know how to get back on track because I'm educated to do it. The people who aren't always eat so much, they overindulge, but you can also overindulge in healthy food. Anything that you overdo over and above the requirement is unhealthy, right?
Even the healthy food, right?
Exactly. So even if you drink more than 4 to 5 liters, it's toxicity for your body. So your body only requires a certain limit of nutrients and macro and micronutrients in order for you to survive and be healthy and all that stuff. So if you can just avoid the processed food and have a limitation on it, but still be able to eat all the foods you enjoy and be able to regularly exercise, expend energy, go for walks, do some exercise that you enjoy doing and you can do consistently, then that's great. When I said it's difficult and it's a dark place, I was speaking in regards to the kind of people that you are working out around. Those are the people that you want to feel motivated working out around, not intimidated by. You need to feel like you're confident in your environment and the people that you're working out around are also helpful. But if you are feeling daunted or you feel intimidated by the people because they're not very approachable, in that case, you're going to want to withdraw. And especially if you're going to be working towards a professional goal. But if you want to do bodybuilding and you want to just do resistance training and all that stuff, just to have a healthy lifestyle, then it's excellent. And that is the direction you need to go in. Every human being requires some energy expenditure, energy intake versus energy expenditure in order to survive. And if you're not able to move remotely, sedentary, because we're sitting on our desk 9 to 5, but in accordance to certain research and studies done, human beings that twitch and move around, if you see, I've forgotten his name. Not Jordan. What's his name? I've forgotten. He's a neurologist and a neuroscientist. He was doing some research and he said that the human beings that twitch and move a lot, their central nervous system is always out of whack when they're like sort of have a hormonal imbalance, and that also equates to an unhealthy lifestyle, and that's what bodybuilding is about. But as a regular human being, if you're walking, hiking, cycling, or doing anything that you're physically capable of doing and you can do it on a longer duration comfortably and enjoy it, then there's nothing better than that. But if you're someone who spends endless hours behind the screen and on the stupid rectangular piece of equipment that has destroyed mankind and communication systems, because I'm an old school person. I like people. I like having conversations face to face. I want to sit with someone and talk to them. I'm a very visual person because I'm an artist. I used to paint and I did art in my school. But someone who likes and enjoys and has a business and has to work on a screen all day is sedentary. So he's not really having much physical activity or movement, which is not good for your organs to function. But if you're twitching and you're shaking your leg and you're twiddling your thumbs and you're moving around, you're actually unconsciously expending more energy than you would if you were to consciously get up and go for a walk, which is a fact that's been stated. So as long as you have a routinely based, curriculum which involves physical activity at some form or the other, even if it's like 2 to 4 days a week, and you have a good lifestyle where you're eating whole foods, it doesn't have to be organic, but just at least abstain from processed products that are shelved and they have a expiration date of 2, 3, 4 years, as opposed to something that's going to expire within a week to 10 days. That is what's going to help you stay healthy and help you focus on longevity. Knowing that something has an expiration, just like human beings, we're not immortal. We have a period of validity as well. So similarly, you have to eat things that are going to go bad so that you can function properly. But if you understand that there's a box lying in the store and you don't understand more than 5 of the ingredients at the back of a label, then don't even bother buying it because you don't know what you're putting inside your body. Keep it simple. Stop complicating things. जितनी चीज़ें हम complicate करेंगे उतनी चीज़ें से हमें नुकसान पहुंचेगा. आप सब कुछ simple रखो. Keep it very simple. Have whole foods. Have things that human beings can have and sustain and enjoy, and have it within its limitations. Keep a gap of 2 to 3 hours between your protein intake. Have an average of 1 pound per weight of one
body mass, muscle mass. I think it's like something
muscle mass,
1 gram
0.9 to 1 gram
something
per pound
like
of
that.
body. Yeah.
So before wrapping this up, I would like to wrap this with what a day in your life looks like when it comes to like you. सही है, इस पे बात नहीं करते कि आपने जो है किसी इवेंट के लिए compete करना है, बस just
I have that on my YouTube, but I started and I didn't continue.
Okay, so tell me about that for those who have not watched the video. So how like in your life a day looks like when it comes to exercise and it comes to cardio and it comes to your nutrition? What do you like? What are you doing?
So as human beings and also animals, we're a creature of habit. We always tend to gravitate towards things that we're already used to. Like we wake up in the morning, we make our beds and we brush our teeth. That's something that we can't avoid doing because you don't want your teeth to decay and you don't want to live in a slum. You want to have a nice clean bedroom. You wake up, you open the curtains and you connect with the natural sunlight outside. It doesn't have to be at dawn. It should be somewhere between dawn and midday or a little before, just to get your circadian levels and in tuned. Your body is in tune with the natural sunlight.
Like
and
for 5 to 10 minutes, that's it?
Couple of minutes, you do some earthing, you go outside, you put your feet on the grass, on natural ground, and you connect with the earth. And then you take in some sunlight. That way your day will be successful. You'll feel fresh, you'll feel great. And I'm not saying that I'm doing this on a daily basis, but I'd like to be in a habit of doing it more regularly. But it's hard to because I live in Dubai, so it's not the same. In Pakistan, there's a lot of nature, there's a lot of greenery and things at home and otherwise. So if I wake up in the morning, I'll stand on my balcony or I'll go down and stand on the grass and in the mud and connect with the earth, which God has given us. We should take full liberty of it, and we must appreciate and we must not take this planet for granted. We take it for granted. That's why I have this bleeding planet, It's weeping, it's in pain, it's suffering. And this planet does not deserve to go through the atrocities and the dilemmas that we're putting it through. We need to be more respectful towards what God has given us, the elements of life and everything that we're fortunate to have. And we also take each other for granted, and especially the people that give us formidable advice or advice that we would have to pay for. Also, I mentioned that you need a coach. If you don't have a coach, then you're going to keep repeating the same mistakes, and you're going to end up running unnecessary bills. And in order for you to save the ultimate encompass of bills over patches of time, you have a coach or a person who can mentor you in your life, then everything will be streamlined and organized. Like you have a diary and you write down all the things you're allergic to, the things you enjoy doing, the things you don't like and dislike. Then you can refer back to those notes and you can see how you can implement them and correct your life so that you don't make those same mistakes and you don't hurt or upset yourself. Body's like a temple, right? You need to take care of it the same way.
So you wake up, you went into the sunlight, done
so
that
I wake
for
up,
5
I do
times.
the circadian level, and then I just write a passage or a few words in my book. And usually these are books that I've collected for the purpose of writing notes when I'm studying or doing some research or going through my modules, my masters. My parents are always writing. My father loves to write notes. He always leaves notes on my bed with something or the other. to Natia with my mom for her birthday, and he left a note with gloves, a hat, and a jacket saying that you don't have enough warm clothing with you. So, he wrote a really sweet note, and he just put some stuff there. So that's a great way of communication, is writing notes, letters, and things like that to each other. Similarly, write something in your notebook that could be a reminder, a daily reminder, a word, something you learned, something you felt and experienced. And writing is a great form of communication for others as well as yourself. It's a reminder, and it is the best way to remember things. When you write, you remember things better than when you read them. And when you read them and write them at the same time, that's how you learn them and keep that information and retain it over a longer passage of time. So other than that, I go for a walk. If I'm in Pakistan, I like to just walk around my sector and just take in some fresh air, connect with my thoughts, come back, and I have my breakfast, which is just eggs and oats and some fake nut butter that I got that is less calories, and some fruit. And then I'll have a cup of chai, which I don't drink. I stopped drinking tea when I started bodybuilding because I don't really drink milk. Not because I'm allergic, but because my body just forgot how to break down lactose. So it's just something not necessary and I don't really need it. But when I like to have a cup of tea now that I'm not preparing for a show, I'll have a cup of tea. And when someone at a restaurant tells me we don't serve mixed chai, I get extremely infuriated because I'm in a country where chai is a necessity. So when I go to a restaurant, like I went upstairs and they said we don't make chai, I'm like, you have to make an exception, sir. Because firstly, I'm a guest in your country right now and I crave this. So please, it's very simple. All you need to do is boil some water, add some milk and put in a tea bag. So he made the exception and I was very happy about that. Then I just go on with my day. If I'm doing some reading, spend some time with my parents, have conversations that, give back to me or serve me and I feel like are important for me. And I just relax, chill, go to the gym, have a nice workout. I'm not as enthusiastic as I was previously. I'm just giving myself some time off. Having said that, doesn't mean I'm going to stop completely. I'm just resting because I'm going through all kinds of aches and pains. My bones are hurting. I've been working out a lot over the past few years, and competing is not easy. It's very taxing on the body physically. Then I just, time just goes by so fast, to be honest. I mean, I'm telling you my routine in Pakistan. In Dubai, it's different. I have cats. I wake up in the morning, I open the balcony, and then I feed them, have a cup of coffee. I head to the gym. I do my cardio regularly. That's just something I do as a form of habit. And it's also healthy for me, gets me functioning mentally and physically. It's good for my heart. Cardiovascular activity.
Treadmill or cycling, indoor cycling, outdoors?
No, I have an indoor bike, but I don't really use it much because it hurts my my left side of my hip because we don't do a lot of hip rotational exercises and our interior and exterior are so stiff most of the time. Pertaining to the exercises we do, and the hip joints are always the biggest problem for every person. So I've also got a piriformis syndrome, which is also a subject to discuss on another time. So because of that, I have limitations regarding exercises that I do and also cardio choices. But I do use the Stairmaster a lot. I've got a Stairmaster in my building gym, so वो मैं इस्तेमाल करती हूँ. या मैं कभी incline treadmill use कर लूँगी. Cycle nahi mujhe koi khas. I like outdoor cycling, but not really like a stationary bike, not really a fan. Then I just prepare my meals. I've got everything prepped and I've got someone cleaning my house and stuff because I'm allergic to dust. If I do it myself, I get sick. So when she comes, I ask her to do just prepare my salads and stuff. And then I eat oats and rice and eggs and chicken and fish and potatoes, carrots, tomatoes, lettuce, cucumbers. These are the basics that I have on a daily basis. And when I want to have or indulge in something, then I'll have like a protein bar that I really like, which is not good because it's full of terrible ingredients. But I'll have it every now and then.
Good.
And then that's it. I just prepare my meals, chill, have conversations, read, study, watch something I enjoy and call it a day.
Thank you very much for sharing your story. For those who want to know more about you, what you're doing, or maybe get in touch with you and maybe ask you for some mentoring or maybe some coaching or helping with their fitness, where they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, I can help them, coach them with mental strengthening, mental health as well as fitness. So exterior and interior both coincide with one another. So in order for you to have a strong physical outlook, you need to have a strong internal outlook as well.
So where you are active the most? Like where on your social? Like you use Instagram, I'm sure.
Right.
Where are the other platforms that you are active?
Well, I started a YouTube, which is the same name as my Instagram page.
Okay.
But I just wasn't very consistent. I got lazy. I even bought
Did you post something yet?
I did. I have lots of videos and some of them got a lot of views as well. And I actually was good at graphics because I studied art, fine arts and drawing and everything. So I used to do a lot of editorial. All the editing on my videos is done myself. I bought Adobe Premiere or was it Final Cut, I think, because I have a MacBook. So I used that. Then I just got really lazy. I'm sorry.
So you are mostly active on social, on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
People get in touch with you there. If they have any questions, you answer
Yeah, they can
them.
send me an email or they can send me a message if I'm not able to respond to their Instagrams, and they can, and if they're serious, because a lot of people do communicate and then they jump to conclusions that they presume I'd be either overpriced or that I'd give them a discount, but they don't really understand the work that it takes for a person to create a plan, because it's not copy paste from the internet.
And you customize it for every
custom,
single
yeah.
one of the people who get in touch with you,
But
right?
I'm also going to be creating an app with a company that's going to have everything tailor-made, but it's going to be very automated. So everything will be done in accordance to that system and the pattern that we've created.
Thank you very much, Zaiena. इनका जो social है, especially इनका Instagram जहाँ पर ये active रहती है, और I will also link her email and YouTube channel in the description as well. If you feel like you have anything to ask her, get in touch with her. The socials will be in the description. आपको कोई feedback हो, कोई comment हो, कोई criticism हो, so be nice and share that with us in the comment section, and we will try to respond to that as soon as possible. और आपसे मुलाकात होती है अगले podcast में. तब तक अपना ख्याल रखिएगा. अल्लाह हाफिज़.